India has a new unicorn. We're talking about Razorpay, which has raised its Series D round of funding. They've raised over $100 million at a valuation of $1 billion, which now makes them a unicorn. It's managed to get some marquee investors in this round, including Singapore's GIC, as well as existing investors such as Sequoia India, Ribbit Capital, Matrix, as well as Y Combinator. To tell us more about this, we have Harshal Mathur, the co-founder and CEO of FinTech, India's newest FinTech unicorn, Razorpay, joining us on ET Now. Congratulations, Harshal. That's quite a milestone that you've achieved, I think, in 5 years since inception. So take us through the current round. And you also had, I think, over 35 angels in your seed round. So will they get exit, and what are you going to use this money for? Take us through this newest round of investment, and what does it feel like to be a unicorn?
Yeah, thanks, Sandra. Thanks for inviting. And yeah, definitely, it's a big milestone for the company, not just because of the number, but because it just reaffirms our faith and faith of our investors and everyone else into what we're building. And I'm really excited about being able to deliver that. Uh, I think, yeah, right, like the journey started in seed round, and we had about 35 angels in a seed round. And but right now, this $100 million is a full primary investment into the company. The round is co-led by Sequoia and GIC. Sequoia being an existing investor, it deepens our relationship with them. They've been a very helpful partner for us in our journey. GIC, it's a sovereign wealth fund of Singapore. I think they're a large public market investor, and getting money from them is a very strong validation of the fact that what we are building is sustainable, not just for today, but to be able to take the company public someday. More important than that, I think every existing investor in the company participated in the round. So from Y Combinator to Tiger Global to Matrix Partners and Ribbit Capital, all of them participated in the round just to show off further trust on our vision and direction that we are taking. So yeah, definitely very excited about it.
Right. And if I look at your own journey, Harshil, started out as a payment gateway. You've built on top of that payment gateway from subscription to vendor management to invoices, and now you're betting big on neo banking and credit. So, was this your main pitch to investors? Because you've managed to raise $100 million. Your last significant fundraise was just in 2019. So, what was your main pitch to investors? What's the main focus for Razorpay going to be?
Yeah, so Razorpay started as a payments company, and in the payment space, we acquired leadership position, and we've scaled up very rapidly in the last 1 year. But given the way our payments business is scaling up and the revenues are scaling up on that, we didn't need to really raise a lot of funding for the payments business alone. But in last 1 year, we have expanded and gone broadly into Razorpay Capital and Razorpay X, our lending and our neobanking arm, and both of which are almost a year old business units today, and both of which are generating really good traction for the company. So the primary reason for us to do this fundraise and what we talked with investors was to go further deeper with Razorpay X and Razorpay Capital to scale them in the next coming years so that they can hit the leadership position like we have achieved in the payments business. I think that's where we'll continue to invest most of the money that we have raised right now.
Right. And in terms of an NBFC license, I mean, that's also something that you have been trying for. So is that going to be the next effort from your end? What plans do you have on that front?
Yeah, licensing is a big play, and I think our goal has always been to go very deep into India. And if you want to go deeper, you need to have licenses. You need to get deep into regulation. I mean, the PAPG license is also something that we're working on, and it's already announced by RBI, so we'll be participating in that. On the capital side, we want to go deeper, whether it's through an NBFC license or whether it's a deep partnership with NBFC. We are still taking call on it, but lending and neobanking are big bets for us, and we want to go very deep into it so that when a business comes on this platform, they can do everything from payments to banking to lending on one single ecosystem. They don't have to step out of the ecosystem for anything. And I think that's the broad vision that we're chasing. I think this funding helps us get closer to that.
Right. Harshal, this year, after the initial hit that we saw across sectors, there has been a rebound that we're seeing. Whoever I talk to, be it e-commerce, be it food delivery, be it other segments, you're seeing UPI numbers reach record milestones every month. So, how has all this had an impact on you in terms of the digital payment surge that you're seeing? And also the whole Kirana commerce segment has taken off with, many people betting on SMEs digitizing, MSMEs digitizing. How much of an opportunity is this going to be for you going forward?
Yeah, I think initially when COVID hit, everyone had a deep impact. We were down by almost 30% during March and April because of the lockdown primarily. But as the lockdown started lifting up, specifically the digital businesses, and we power mostly digital businesses. So almost all digital businesses like e-commerce, grocery, food tech, ed tech, all of them saw very strong V-shaped recovery. I think except for travel and lending, almost every business vertical that we power today is back to normal because we generally power digital businesses, and that has happened very quickly and rapidly because customers have started transitioning en masse to digital options and digital products. Because while lockdown has been lifted, social distancing is still at play in most areas, and people are trying to find digital ways of doing things instead of physical ways. And I think that has been a strong driver of growth for Razorpay. Today we are at our all-time high volumes, all-time high revenues, all-time high numbers and across the entire ecosystem right now. And that is primarily because we power businesses in the digital world, and almost all of the digital businesses have seen a strong V-shaped recovery in the last couple of months. And I think not just recovery in last 1 month specifically, most digital businesses have seen a surge, and they've gone beyond pre-COVID levels. And I think now with the festive season coming in, I think that growth will continue to sustain. And I think probably we'll see a massive digitization in the economy right now, because some of these trends were happening for the last couple of years, but COVID has accelerated them. So, for example, like the number of customers doing e-commerce purchases has gone up. The number of customers doing online bill payments has gone up. Online gaming as a segment has gone up. EdTech as a segment has gone up, and all of these trends were happening, but were happening at a slower pace. I think COVID has accelerated a lot of these trends. So, I think it's a very exciting time for internet businesses in particular right now, because almost everything is going through digital channels.
Right. You mentioned, revenues and numbers at an all-time high. So take us through some of the specifics. I think for the year ended March 2019, you had revenues of about 193 crore, a loss of 3 crore. Have you managed to kind of bridge that loss, achieve break even? Where are your revenues right now for the previous financial year?
Yeah, so previous financial year, we were mostly a payment strong business, and most of our revenue will see is coming from payments for 90% ish. I think this financial year, we have gone pretty broad, and we are doing, today, we are doing almost 20% of our revenue from non-payments businesses, which is Capital and RazorPayX, and which are scaling up very rapidly. I think from an organizational standpoint, while the payments business is almost breaking even, so that 3 crore loss is meaningless compared to the amount of revenue that we make. And that's a payment business almost breaking even. But right now we're investing heavily into RazorPayX and RazorPay Capital, which are still getting off the ground. I think so from an organizational perspective, while we are still loss making, but that loss is now happening primarily on RazorPayX and RazorPay Capital. The payment business is almost breaking even right now. I think from a revenue perspective, I think in last 1 year we have almost doubled up our revenue, and it's scaling rapidly from there. Of course, COVID had an impact for about 1 or 2 months, but we have already overtaken that, and we have doubled up our revenue, and we'll continue to scale up from there.
Right. And what's your next moonshot going to be, Harshal? I mean, 5 years, unicorn. What's your next moonshot going to be? Is it IPO? Is it something else? Take us through, your own plan or the next moonshot as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, I think we've never kept moonshot in terms of funding or valuation, right? I think we never said literally that, hey, our goal is to be $1 billion or something like that, right? I mean, these are all outcomes of the business that we are building. I think I'm personally very excited about what we are doing with RazorPayX, the kind of platform that we are building, we are one of the only live neo-banking platforms in the country today. And the kind of traction that we are seeing in the SME space, in the startup space on that is pretty strong. And neo-banking, while it is a global trend right now, in India is still fairly nascent, but at the same time, I think the demand for that is very high because what we are doing with Razorpay, I think we've shared this earlier, but we are helping businesses digitize their entire life cycle, right? So if, the vision for us is to help businesses move money in any shape and form. So we are helping businesses do salary payments, vendor payments, expense management, corporate credit card, taking a loan, accepting payments, everything under one single platform. Basically, they can do everything that they want to do with a bank and a lot more on the Razorpay platform. And I think that's a very exciting direction that we are taking. I don't think the way we are building Razorpay, something like that, has been built not just in India but anywhere else in the world. And I think that, and for me personally, I think that's the milestone that I'm looking to establish. That we establish our neo-banking presence very strongly into India, and I mean and I believe next couple of years are going to be very crucial for that. So that's the milestone I look at. From a funding perspective, our goal has always been to build a large, independently sustainable organization. So we definitely want to do an IPO at a certain point of time. I think it's a little early for us to give an exact timeline to that, but the goal stays from a funding perspective, the goal stays to go public at a certain point of time, and we continue to build towards that.
Right. Harshal, just one follow up there. The new banking space, as I see it, it's a very crowded space. It was kind of the flavor of the season for investors last year. So many players in the new banking space. So, how are you kind of going to differentiate yourself? You mentioned like the range of offerings that you have, but is it a scenario where all of you are kind of going after the same pie? Is the pie large enough? Take us through what your differentiation here is going to be compared to other players who are pure play neo-banking platforms.
Yeah, so first is I think I don't think neobanking is a crowded space. If you look at the number of banks in the country and number of banks who have been able to sustain themselves, the number of neobanks is still fairly small. And goal of neobanking platforms like us is to allow businesses to be able to bank better or consumers to be able to bank better. And we are end up replacing banking services as here or there. And I think from that perspective, given the size of the banking ecosystem in India, given the number of banks in India, I believe it's not a crowded space, and I believe there are a lot more neobanks that will come in. And the way neobanks are built are different than a bank. That most neobanks are going after a specific niche instead of going universal to support everyone. So if you look at it from that perspective, um, and look at the number of neobanks present in the country, we have. Just give me a second, sorry, Chandra. If you look at the number of neobanks in the country from that perspective, most neobanks are targeting the consumer space. We are targeting the B2B space, even consumer space. Some neobanks targeting the affluent segment, some neobanks targeting the lower end segment. We are targeting the B2B space, and we are specifically targeting the tech and startup world in that. And I don't think anyone else is targeting the domain. And also, from if you look at like the number of neobanks that got funded, we have a significant head start because we are one of the only ones that are live today. We are already opening current accounts. We are already opening banking accounts for these businesses. We already have most of these services on the platform. But more important than that, because of our payment business, we already have deep relationship with more than a million plus million plus businesses who are already using our services on the payment side. So that gives us a unique advantage to be able to go back to them and upsell them neo banking services, and which is what we are doing.
Right. Finally, Harshal, what would your advice for aspiring startups or entrepreneurs be based on your own journey from 2015 to now? What would you tell them if they were to, come and start up in the fintech space today?
Yeah, a lot of things that I've learned over the years, and in hindsight, all of that sounds uh, pretty easy, but believe me, it has been hard. Um, I think a couple of things. First is you need to have a very strong view on what the problem is and focus on it very closely. There'll be a lot of distractions through your journey. We started in the payment space, in the B2B space, and we have constantly stuck to B2B as a segment because we always said that, hey, we understand businesses well, we understand merchants well, and we'll continue to build products for them. So during the transitions through the years. Some people were going and building wallets. Somebody was building a UPI app. Somebody was building pay later. And we never bend into that because our focus was that, hey, we are a B2B company and we'll build products for businesses. And we have stayed true to that through our journey. And I think that's one of the reasons that we are where we are, because of a strong focus on a problem statement, on a customer base that we resonated very strongly with. So having a well-defined problem and continuing to focus on that with all the distractions that happen around you is really important. And I think that's what helps businesses scale in long term. In short term, you can scale up by following trends, by going after a certain segment because it seems popular. But in long term, just staying true to your customer base is really important. I think that's the most important advice I'll give to budding founders.
On that note, Harshal, thank you very much for talking to us on ET Now. And it's really amazing the way you've stayed so grounded and humble, in all the years that we've featured you on the channel. But congratulations again on this milestone of achieving unicorn status. And hopefully we will meet you in person in Bengaluru very soon. But congratulations from us.
Thanks, Chandra. And yeah, definitely look forward to that someday.